I don't write books with a theme in mind, so it's often difficult to sort that out. But what I do is I wait for, once I have a number of poems that I think can make a book, to sort of announce to me what the themes might be. And at least the echoes I hear are largely about memory and regret and a reluctance to indulge in regret. I've long thought that to regret anything is a waste of time because it's feeling bad about things that have already happened, so we can't change them, so why look back? And yet, the older I get, it seems sort of impossible not to look back and to think about what we've done, what we wish we had done, and what we wish we hadn't done. So I think it's a book about that, about a bit about being older and and also the slipperiness of memory. So that if we used to rely on memory as proof of something that happened in the past, it's very troubling, I find, the older I get, to realize that memory can't be trusted. We often remember things as we need them to be in our minds so we can live with ourselves. And I think the book is looking a lot at that. And at the same time, because that all sounds a little dreary, I like to think there's a hopefulness at the end that despite how we've lived our lives and despite losses, that there's still an impulse to move forward and to try again, to take chances on other people and other possibilities and chapters for our lives. The writing process, for me, it's very erratic. I know a lot of writers have a method, or a writing day, or they write so many hours every day. It's very scattered for me. I write maybe one poem a month, one or two, and if I have a method, it's mostly that I spend a lot of time outdoors with my dog, a lot of time cooking, and during those events, out of nowhere, often a line or just a word will come to mind, and I'll think that's something I want to use in a poem, I think, and write it down in a notebook. And then, as I said, every month or so, I'll look at the notebook some evening and decide I think I could play around with all these pieces I've collected and see if they start to gel into anything. And with luck, I suddenly find I'm writing along. And for me, writing is a process of being lost and finding my way through it, through something, toward clarity or something like meaning. So I can't really start off with an idea of what I'm going to write about. That's why I start off with these fragments or random sentences and just think, what happens if you put this word next to that one? What idea does that spark? And before I know it, within a few hours, with luck, there's a poem, and often a poem whose meaning I don't yet know for certain myself, but I can feel that I've reached the right ending for that piece. The most challenging to write was the very first poem in the book, which is called Regime. And the reason it was the most challenging is because it's only 3 sentences, and it's very, very short. And I felt after writing it that this is right, this is how it must be. But I also kept thinking, it's not possible that it can only be 3 sentences long and that you've gotten your point across. And but I just kept sitting with it, and so I'm not. Maybe that wasn't that it was hard to write; it was hard to trust. And and I spent a lot of time with these. It has very short lines as well, and I wanted people to see, if they bothered to do so, that it was engaging in a sonnet tradition, even though it's not like a sort of formal sonnet in the usual way. But I think it was that. I'm used to writing long sentences and having lots of pauses and self-corrections, and this is really just 3 very straightforward declarative sentences. It was new for me, and a kind of spareness that I'm excited to keep pushing at and do in some parts of this book, but this was the first one where I did that. It's obviously a very great honor, and was totally unexpected. So it haven't quite sorted out how I feel about it, except excited and honored to be in the company of the other nominees and all the people in the past who have been nominees or finalists. And it has a particular meaning for me because I'm fairly new to the poetry world in England, in the UK. Here I've been writing for over 30 years, but it's exciting it's only my second book out in the UK, and it's exciting that it caught the judge's attention. But on a personal level, also, many people don't know that I'm only half American and half English. My mother was born and raised and lived most of her life in Ealing, outside of London, until meeting my father when he was stationed there in the Air Force. So, I don't know, there's something about the connection to the English side of me that resonates and I feel good about. I like to think my mother would be proud of me if she were still around. So, yeah, it's very exciting.